Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is really true, is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this. You know, we've all had the roughest few years of our lives all over the world, not just here. And unfortunately, too many people didn't make it, and a lot through addiction, including family and friends of mine. I want everyone out there to know someone is listening. I'm a recovery coach. I'm a nutritional health coach. Please, please reach out to me. All my services to you are free. If you think my book can help someone, because I do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, and you can go to my website, www.geripetito.com, and please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. Guys, listen, if you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please reach out to me about that as well. So, guys, you know I always bring it, right? Well, honey, I'm bringing it today. And everyone who knows me knows that I love oldies, doo-wop, Elvis, okay? I always said I was born too late, okay? Because, you know, I was born in 61, and I love the music, you know, the rock and roll and all that. But my heart belongs to the oldies. And most of the songs that were like super famous came out in 61, the year I was born. And here they are today, still rocking and rolling, baby. So I want to introduce my incredible guest. All right. And first of all, let me introduce her. Sharon, I don't want to mess up your name. Please tell everyone your name properly.
And Cutler.
Wait, I'm sorry, Sharon. Say that again.
Sharon Sultan-Cutler.
Beautiful. And she is the author of the book we're going to be talking about.
Bandstand Diaries.
There you go.
The Philadelphia Years.
The Philly Years, guys, okay? So, all right, Sharon, first of all, I loved your book. I want to just tell you that. And I want to let everybody out there know how great this book is, especially if you guys love all the oldies, okay? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself first and what brought you to this.
Okay. First of all, I want to mention my co-authors,
Yep.
Arlene Sullivan and Ray Smith, because without them, the book wouldn't have been done. I've always been an entrepreneur, unconventional, always looking for niches that nobody else seemed to find. I started off with runner's jewelry for joggers, because my friend said to me, Sharon, you know, when we do races, there's no symbol. So the next week, I went to 47th Street in Manhattan and found a little old man. And I asked him, I showed him a stick figure, and I said, can you make this, or do you know somebody? And we got the Roadrunner, and we did it mail order, did it for a few years, sold several thousand of them, and branched out. I've also done on Long Island, where I grew up happily, I did the 50 Plus Expo and healthy expos, and dabbed in a lot of things. I had a magazine for a very short time called Mature Choices. And I even wanted to have a question and answer kind of resource program called Mature Resources, where people could find, just like Angie's list,
Okay.
except maybe it would have been called Sharon's list. So I try to get the places before other people get there, and it has its ups and downs, and I'm still challenged.
Well, I want to just say this to you about your book, what I loved most about it, all right? I took some notes here because it wasn't just about the music, you guys, the three of you, you guys covered so much. So I took some notes and I want to just share with everybody something here, okay? What I loved was you added so many facts about what was going on in real life during this era, not just the music, Sharon. That
Right.
blew my mind. Concerns between parents and teachers, teen culture, the cost of living in 1957, okay? A man and a woman's role in the household. Average salaries, popular TV shows, books, songs, films, toys, inventions. You covered it all. Okay? So that was amazing to me.
Thank you.
I want to talk about that for right now. So what made you put all that in there?
Because just to do a book about American Bandstand per se did not tell you about the aura, about what we and our parents were living through.
Yeah.
I mentioned polio. I mentioned juvenile delinquency, the bad reputation that rock and roll originally had, and the fact that teenagers were invisible. But I also wanted to have, can you imagine someone making $12,500 a year? Houses were under $15,000 a year. Records was 79 cents, 45 RPMs. So I wanted people to have an ahoo moment where they could say, oh, I remember that. I remember that. So it triggers the emotions, and I wanted that in there especially.
So I want to touch base on a couple of things that you said. You said juvenile delinquency. So I lived in Long Island City, New York, in Queens. I grew up. My dad moved us to New Jersey when I was 12 and my brother was 13. So I've been here 50 years. I, at 10 years old, had to go to court, and I got a juvenile delinquent card. Because back then they gave you JD cards for beating up bullies. The bullies were 10 times my size. I would get my butt kicked, but I didn't care. And I got in touch with the police department recently, and they're trying to find my JD card for me so I could have it as a souvenir because it was for a good cause. So
Wow.
It was interesting that you mentioned that. And as far as like what you guys were going through back then and teenagers, and they didn't have a voice. I mean,
Right.
They used music. They used music to be heard.
To express themselves.
Yes.
And then, but we didn't have any place to do it publicly. We did it in the privacy of our schools, at home, but not on TV until American Bandstand came
Right.
on.
So now, okay. Now, I want to mention a couple things, and then we're going to talk about American Bandstand. So, Jerry Blavat, I got to interview him and got to know him and became friendly with him. He was a beautiful man. One of my idols growing up, him and Don K. Reed, and I got to interview him as well. But what you have in your book I thought was really cool. The most watched ABS episode aired was December 5th, 1961, the year I was born, Backstage Bandstand, and it shows all the behind scenes. So I want you to talk a little bit about that first, because that cracked me up and blew my mind.
I'm trying to exactly recall. I have all my old magazines.
Okay.
Was this a TV?
This was you just said in your book how that was one of the biggest ones aired because it went behind the scenes. It showed everybody what was really going on behind the scenes on Bandstand.
Oh, behind the scenes of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was very interesting because right before American Bandstand came on, there was a show, I believe the woman's name was Sally Starr,
Okay, yes.
and she was very popular. And what they did was they recreated her whole area and put up the bleachers, and they showed the sound room, and
That's so cool.
then you saw the kids coming in, and they looked like kids, into the entrance in the back, and they would take off their coats. And what I marveled at was the trust there. They would leave their pocketbooks there. You wouldn't do that now,
Right.
but they'd leave all their belongings there, and then they'd come and they would have to be sitting down. And then finally, Dick Clark was introduced, and the show began. So it was, it wasn't an expensive show to put on. And it was the only show that captivated anybody on ABC. NBC and CBS had their own stable of shows. ABC had nothing. They needed to fill up hours in the PM, especially after the kids came home from school, 3 p.m. or so. So it was a daring move to put on a show that had no history.
Yeah.
It just
Amazing.
it was an experiment.
So, Dick Clark died at 82 years old in 2012. The
Correct.
first show debuted August 5th, 1957. It was in
Correct.
black and white. And the last show was January 11th, 1964. So it was only 7 years.
In Philadelphia.
In Philly, yes. And then he moved. But here's the thing about that. And growing up in the tri-state area, New York, Philly, New Jersey, we only knew those 7 years. But growing up my entire life, and I wasn't even born till 61, that was part of my life.
That's what everybody says. I think that American Bandstand evokes smiles and nostalgia, memories, music, dance, fashions. It's totally amazing that show, out of all the TV shows that were on, is still loved and revered by baby boomers and seniors.
Yes.
They come out in droves when I appear in person and do a book presentation. People come in. Some are walking on their own. Some are in walkers. Whatever. Excuse me. But they all have memories of that time.
So amazing. So now, okay, Brian Hyland, okay? So he was 16 years old in 1960, itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And, reading your book, like every time I interviewed him as well, I got to know him. And I would just smile every time I read something else in your book. And I was like, this is so cool. Oh my gosh, I interviewed him. Oh my gosh, this is so great, That song in itself right there. I mean, think about that song. It's still going strong.
Exactly. That's why I think people still love the oldies shows. And we're in Florida now, and I wish we had oldie shows.
But wait, where? Yes, there are. But wait a second. Where in Florida?
Boca Raton, Palm Beach County.
Okay, because my friend Kathy from K&D Unique Entertainment, Kathy Kasu, she used to live in Staten Island, and she's close to your age, but she does shows out there now, and she does all oldie shows. She lives in the Villages. She puts on oldie shows, ETA shows, really cool.
The Villages has, I don't know how many thousands of people.
Yeah.
And they're all concentrated in 3 counties.
Yeah.
We don't have anything, to my knowledge, that's really big, except once in a while they have a star show. One of the things that I would love is to, with some people, do major sock hops, maybe for charities, maybe for, whatever. And I have some regulars, some of the dancers, who are willing to come and fly down here and be part of a sock hop with interviews with the regulars and music and dance. So there's a lot of possibilities to keep the music alive.
Okay. I can hook you up with Kathy. You just let me know, and I'll send you her number.
Right.
She'd love to talk to you. Trust me. So what I loved also about your book was, all right. So Bobby Rydell, he did the introduction,
Right.
and I interviewed Bobby. God rest his soul. You know, I mean, beautiful, amazing, and
Right.
I love all your chapters. All right. So I want to ask you something. Happy Endings, Chapter 11. But that was just the ending. Was that the final ending of Bandstand or just from the Philadelphia area?
I'm going to go to the book now.
All right, I
so
think
can
that was the
refresh my-
Philadelphia area one, right?
Yeah, it's the Philadelphia
Yeah,
area.
yeah. Okay.
It's got the last show,
Yep.
and it talks about the impact of the show.
Yes.
Oh, here it is, Happy Endings.
Okay.
And it's very interesting. The regulars and the wannabe regulars and stuff, anytime they heard about a show, whether it was in Wildwood or wherever it was, Philadelphia, they would all show up. I mean, and they still do. They still do. And yeah, we talked about the theme parties, Oprah Winfrey show, when Arlene and Yvette and Carmen came with, who was it? Bobby Barrett, Larry Giuliani, and I'm just trying to remember. I'm drawing a blank.
That's okay.
And he's a good friend of mine. Eddie Kelly, of course,
Okay.
Eddie Kelly, yeah. And Joe Ahern,
Okay.
who was connected with ABC.
Okay.
But they flew in. They were treated like royalty. And the thing about it is, they were disliked by most Philadelphians at that time. People competed in popularity and stuff like that. And a lot of these people, there were meanies, there were bullies out there. And one of the things that used to happen was that people who were on the elevated subways, I forget what they call the L's,
Okay.
would actually throw light bulbs when they saw the dancers entering the place. Arlene and Kenny and a few others went to Manhattan for the Dick Clark show, and they thought it was going to be a normal kind of thing. They were mobbed and slightly mutilated. I mean, they really had to fend for themselves getting into and out of the bus.
But can I ask why, really?
People thought of them not as humans sometimes, as stars, as celebrities. And I think people felt that they were entitled to get to the regulars no matter how. I mean, they were on, TV shows, other TV shows. They were in magazines. They did everything. And I think people felt that the regulars belonged to them. I mean, of course, there were a lot of people who, were kind to them and loved them. Most people loved them, but some people did not.
See, this stuff went on even back then, it just wasn't talked about.
Right.
Right. So, all right. So now, Elvis Presley, okay, of course, I always say I was born too late, but Elvis Presley, I'm an oldies do-up and Elvis girl. And in 1957, winners for American Bandstand's annual music poll. Elvis Presley won for favorite male vocalist, of course, and he won for best record, All Shook Up, of course. I just had to say
no surprise.
that. I had to just let everybody hear that, okay, guys? So now, let me see. There was a couple other things I want. Oh, you know what I loved? Like Bobby Rydell, what he was saying, like he, attributes Bandstand to his fame.
Right. And they all did. It was such a coveted spot. To be on the show meant that you would be a success around the country. Okay? You weren't just limited to Philadelphia. People discovered the stars before they were stars. And it was thanks to Dick Clark's American Bandstand. And a lot of them, especially the ones from Philadelphia, including Chubby Checker, James Darren, Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon, Fabian, they would be ready at a moment's notice to fill in for another group or singer who didn't show up because it was valuable property to be on there.
That's really wow.
Yeah.
Okay. See, as fans and growing up and as a kid, whatever, we just thought, oh, this is so great. And, everything's great and everybody's happy and everybody loves each other and the music's awesome. We
Right,
don't know all this stuff that really goes on.
right. I remember I was 10 years old when I first watched it and was fascinated by the music and all the ways that the kids were dancing and stuff like that. And we each had a dance partner, most of us. I danced with my basement doorknob, and people danced with their banisters, their refrigerator doors. I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. Uh, they danced with whatever broomsticks, and sometimes they even danced with each other. They had friends over, so it was the go-to place after school. After you had your milk and cookies.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I thought this was pretty interesting, okay? In 1962, Bobby V sang, Please Don't Ask About Barbara. Dick Clark wouldn't play it on American Bandstand because he was divorcing his wife named Barbara at the time.
Right.
Okay, and this is also pretty cool too. All right. Dick Clark and his wife Carrie were married on 7/7/77 in a ceremony that started at 7 p.m. and his address in Burbank at the time was P.O. Box 7777. Just
Right.
those two little facts that you put in there, I'm just like cracking up about. I'm like, so I love that you did all this. But all right, let's talk about the song. Please don't ask about Barbara. So he really didn't want it because of that? Like, was there...
Yeah, I mean, I guess he hated Barbara by that time. Didn't want to give her any credit.
Okay.
But I want to say that a lot of the facts in the book were discovered by my co-author, Ray Smith.
Okay.
He is a great researcher as well as a great writer. So we're indebted to him for his details.
For his details, okay. So now, was there any racism back then with let's talk a little bit about that, respectfully.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Dick Clark always stated that he integrated American Bandstand immediately. Okay. Such is not the case. We have an article by a professor from, I think he was from Arizona State. I'll get you his name in a minute.
Okay.
But he said that this was all a fairy tale. The group singers and the individual singers, a lot of them were black and different things. Everyone lip synced at that time, but as far as the show went, there wasn't a representation of African American dances. I did see in some of the old shots on YouTube, I saw a few. It was selective integration, or maybe not integration at all at the beginning. What the staff did, and I think a lot of it had to do with advertising dollars. Okay. What the staff did was that they would get requests by mail for tickets. They would peruse the geographical areas where the people came from, as well as some of the unusual names that maybe somebody had. And if they thought that they might be African American, they were delayed in getting tickets. So you saw in the first few years, very few. I mean, it was a time of racial tension. completely different. But the fact is that Dick Clark continued to say that he introduced integration, and that's really not the truth.
Okay.
So,
Wow, very interesting. You know, Al Contrara from the Mystics,
mhm,
he doesn't live far. He's about a 35-minute ride from me. And I met him years ago, and he came live in our old studio a number of times. And he
right,
was the first one. He wrote a book, The Mob, the Mystics, something, right? It's a really
right,
big book. And he's the one that first made me realize the things that really went on back then. You know, the
hmm
mob had so much to do with the musicians. I mean, I was like, this is crazy. Again, we just thought this is so great. The music's great, blah, blah, blah. You know, we never
right.
thought, and they never got paid and all this stuff, you know?
Well, Dick Clark, famously or infamously, uh, would actually ask a lot of the original performers to give him their paycheck, because he told them, "Listen, I'm not getting very much money for being the host, so I would appreciate your check back." And that's what he did, and they gave it to him.
Okay.
And he didn't have to do that after he became a multimillionaire.
Okay. Can I ask about how much each of those checks were? You have
If
any idea?
anything, they were $50, $100.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
not much,
really
right?
know, but
Well, that was
yeah,
crappy.
he, he yeah, he had a nerve, and he got away with it, and he had the ability through American Bandstand to have a lot of power.
Yeah,
So, and
interesting.
he was rich as soon within a few years he was a multimillionaire.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
So I guess they probably figured I better give him my $50 paycheck or he may never have me back.
exactly,
Of
and that would
course.
hurt them.
Of
And that
course.
would hurt them. They
Yes.
needed to be visible.
Yes.
They needed to make the top 10 chart, which
Yes.
assured them
Yes.
of a career. And yeah, they needed to be on there. They needed to be a part of the Dick Clark American Bandstand
Yes.
show.
Sure.
So,
So crazy. All this stuff that's in your book is just amazing. All right. So let me ask
thank
you
you.
this.
Yes,
You and your co-authors, okay?
right.
Like, did you guys just all of a sudden say to each other, you know what? This would be a really cool book. Like, what started even the thought process?
Okay. I was living with my husband in Chicago. I was lonely because I didn't like the area we lived in, and I was bored,
Okay.
and I felt unchallenged. So I said, I would always like to know whatever became of the regulars. And I checked, the bestseller pages, and they had, they had Dick Clark's books. He had a love letter book or something. There really wasn't much out there. And so I was 10 years old when I started. I didn't know anyone from American Bandstand, and this was many years later. And I had never written a book. So all of those were challenges
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
Okay. Another person might say, well, why would I do this? And so I somehow got to Arlene Sullivan and said that I was I was also a journalist. I was going to be in Atlantic City on a press tour, and could she meet me at my hotel? And she said yes, with hesitation, because these people, the regulars, were bombarded with requests all throughout the years. So this is 30, 40, 50 years of, I want to make a movie with you. I want to, movie, documentary, books, whatever. So, and nothing really panned out. So for a lot of years, they were invisible except for some appearances on Oprah or TV recaps on TV Guide and stuff like that. So she came. She was lovely, but she was, she was cautious.
Okay.
Who's a stranger in a bathing suit, asking me to
Yeah.
write a book with her. And I talked with her, and I said to her, "People love you to this day," and that was about 19. It was about 8 or 10 years ago,
Okay.
because she didn't see the merits of it. She knew she was popular because she did a lot of dances in Atlantic City, and she knew all the stars and everything. But she was cautious. So I don't know if I'm a good negotiator or what, but I finally convinced her to partake, and she said she would do it if she could bring her friend Ray Smith, who was a journalist from NBC and a good writer, if she could bring him on board. And I said, sure, I'd love to meet him, which I did in Radio City. But she said to me, I will be a part of the book. We decided to call it Arlene Sullivan's Diary. And she recapped her life, which is fascinating.
Yes.
And she said, I will do the book. She's on the cover. Her name is first and everything. But she said, I won't promote the book at all until I actually physically have a copy of the book in my hands.
Okay.
So, we could have probably gotten a lot more pre-sales, but, we were all true to our word. The book came out. We had a launch party at the original studio, which was unbelievable. We had a lot of the fans and a lot of the regulars, and we gave them free pretzels or whatever the Philly people eat. And it was a real happening. We were on TV, radio, whatever. So, I precipitated everything. And Arlene talks about the book wherever she goes. And Ray talks about the book. And we never have had national major TV or media presence.
Okay.
We tried, but, it's hard. And now that we passed special anniversaries of the show, 65th anniversary and everything, it would be nice to have some kind of retrospective of the show, either on TV. And as I said, a lot of the regulars would be interested in appearing someplace.
So I have some silly questions for you.
Oh, good.
Okay. So growing up, okay, who were your favorite singers? A couple of your favorite songs that really meant something to you?
Okay. First of all, my one true love was Bobby Rydell.
Oh.
And I told him when I met him, I went to see him near Chicago. I told him that I had always loved him. My favorite song was Little Darling.
Oh.
Okay. And I don't remember the details. I've spoken to a lot of stars. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I write it down.
Sharon, I'm interrupting you for 1 second. Our favorite stalker is calling. He wants to say hello to you. Hold on. Hello?
Hello,
Who's calling?
it's me.
Tell Sharon who you are.
Hi, it's Dr. Lizzie.
John Terlizzi, Sharon.
Oh,
He introduced
I think I
us.
tried to call you today, John.
Oh, okay. So we want to give you a shout out, John. I knew you were going to probably call and say hi to her. Say hello to her.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you by telephone.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
tell Sharon that I used to run home from school when I was 1961 to watch American Bandstand. I think that's the year Jerry was born.
Yes.
Wow.
I loved American Bandstand.
We all get smiles when we talk about
We
it.
do
right?
get smiles when we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, I told Sharon when the phone rang, I said, oh, we have a special caller, our favorite stalker.
Yes.
And I got nervous because I don't like stalkers.
She don't like stalkers. He's the best one. He's the coolest stalker, and I love him. He gets me great guests.
Terrific. Yes, and thank you, John.
I can't wait to read your book, The American Bandstand
Yeah.
Diaries.
Yes. It's amazing, John.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're going to hang up on you now, though.
Okay, tell her to give me a buzz. I can get a couple more interviews for you.
Okay.
Okay, Sharon?
He'll get a couple more interviews for you, Sharon. He said give him a buzz. Thank you, John. We both love you.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, honey.
Bye-bye.
Sorry for the interruption, but...
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
He came to me out of the blue, although
Yes.
I was a fan. And then I saw that he has almost 5,000 followers and stuff like that. And he was just very kind.
Yes.
And look where he got me.
There you go. This is so cool. So
Yeah.
now, so we were talking about, like, Bobby Rydell. Now, songs. Some songs.
Okay. Dion and the
Yeah.
Belmonts.
Yeah.
Dion lives right near here. I hope I meet him in one of the Publix supermarkets.
Girlfriend, listen to me. If that happens, I will owe you if you get me an interview.
Okay. I met his sister. I live in Century Villages in Boca. And I met his sister because she was introduced at a one of the Saturday night shows by one of the stars.
Very cool.
And I did go up to her. And Dion's in the book, too. Arlene has the knack of knowing all the rock and roll legends. It's amazing.
So cool.
We could have a picture book with her and her
So cool.
stories.
Oh, and
And
I
a
love...
lot of them are in this book.
Yeah, I loved all the pictures as well. I loved all the pictures in your book. Guys, listen, her book is so ridiculously cool, I'm not kidding, okay, because she even has amazing photos. Like, one page will have like 9 photos on it, and it just brings smiles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these photos are incredible. Yes, you did such a great job with this book.
Thank you. It's great to be appreciated. I did want to say it was difficult to get a lot of the pictures because a previous author was going to write a book, but instead he died.
Oh.
And the photos that the regulars had given him were locked up, those yellow tapes and stuff like that. They never could get them back. So, but an interesting thing may happen, and I want to share this.
Okay.
We only have a few hundred, less than 300 copies of the book left.
Okay.
It can only go in the States, okay? And I was trying to think with Arlene and Ray what we should do because printing costs are ridiculous. It's no way to make a living, okay? I schlepped to the post office with the books a few times a week. So what I was thinking about, and I'm researching, is to make it an ebook that everyone can, have on their e-readers or on their computer, and they could share it with each other, and it would be under $10. Okay. So right now, we're trying to figure out how to raise the money to make the layout and stuff, but it definitely should be an ebook.
Beautiful.
That's the next step.
Beautiful. So my producer, Ruben here, he put my book, my voice, okay? Because right. I would have done it with Simon & Schuster, but I wasn't going to be the one reading it.
Right.
And I wanted my voice reading it, you know what I mean? So he did that for me. Because, when it's your own book, you want your passion to come out and how you're reading it, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't think anyone wants to hear my Brooklyn accent.
That's so funny. When wherever I'm at, people will say to me, "Oh, you're a New Yorker." But if I'm in New York, people say, "Oh, you're from Jersey."
Can't win.
Right?
Can't win.
So, all right. So we have a
Here
few.
in Florida, we all sound the same.
Okay. Well, yes. I go to the Villages often. I stay at Kathy's, and yes, you're right.
Right.
So we have a few minutes left, Sharon. I want to give you the mic. I don't want you to get off thinking you forgot to talk about anything or say anything or, the mic is yours.
Oh, thank you. We're all living in difficult times now, whatever your beliefs are, whatever your politics are. And that's why I think that the legends of American Bandstand will live on, and that's why I want to do an ebook. But I even want to do more. I would love, and maybe this will sink in with somebody listening or a few people, I would love to do sock hops. And I speak locally. I haven't gone up to the villages, and I should, but I haven't yet, tried to go long distance. I'm getting a lot of communities to ask me to speak at their communities, continuing care communities, clubs, keynotes, churches, different places. That has a limited scope. But I think, and Ed Kelly mentioned this to me, he said, if we did an event for charity, a big charity, he thinks that a number of the regulars would fly down here, or we would meet someplace else to raise money for a charity. So that's one thing, and we could do shows with other rock and rollers or tribute groups where we have a few of the regulars here. Yvette Jimenez lives right in Miami, and there's a few others, and some people would fly down. We could be doing shows, combination of the regulars and the musicians and the dances. I mean, our dances here, I haven't gone to them, but the dances here are packed at all ages, above 55, and they have more energy than me, and they're all happy and stuff like that. So I really think if anyone out there has influence, money, power, whatever, an instinct to globalize this or make this popular, it could be a traveling show. Who knows?
Right.
So that's my ambition. I mean, right now, like a lot of people in their older years, we spend a lot of time at doctors, my husband and I. And I hope we outlive all the doctors or most of them. But anyway, I think that I bring smiles to people, and that to me is the greatest thing. I mean, we haven't made a fortune at all from the book, no matter how many you sell, and it's very intensive work-wise for me because, I sign the books and go to the post office and stuff like that. And right now we're off Amazon. I have to figure out why. But as I said, we only have a few hundred copies left. So I would like it to be in some way be on it as an ebook in the future.
Okay.
So as a matter of fact, I would like, if anyone's interested in getting a newsletter when the ebook actually is done, they can email me their names at bandstanddiaries@gmail.com, and I will start a list, and we're going to make this happen.
Okay.
We don't want it to just die with the book being sold out.
No.
So
Beautiful.
that's where I am. I'm in a happy place as far as
Okay.
What we've done, and I think and all the oldie stars are still performing. It's amazing. You name it.
Yep.
I was trying to think of his name, but Bobby Rydell performed almost to the end.
Yeah. Larry
And-
Chance performed until the end.
Right.
He was a good friend of mine as well.
Frankie
Yes.
Avalon sings and he
Yep.
makes commercials.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them are. It must be a reason why. I mean, I'm sure part of it is having enough money for retirement, but they also love the accolades, and they have the star power still. And it puts us all in a happy place.
Right.
I wish we had more oldie shows in South Florida.
Right. I mean, listen, it's not even just for the accolades or the money for them. I mean, this is their life. This is what makes them happy.
Right.
They live for that. And when they can't sing, it's heartbreaking,
Right.
So it's
Right.
it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I go to a ton of oldie shows. Like here, we have a lot of them. Let East. I was the MC this year, and that's the biggest oldies show and oldies car festival in the world. And they were on their 42nd year, I believe. This was their 42nd year, I believe, or 41st. And it's amazing, and they all come out. You know, it's beautiful.
It's a
So
happening.
yeah,
This is a happening. This
it's
is the rock
beautiful.
and roll
That's right.
revival
It's
that's
beautiful.
lasted 65
You know,
and 70 years. Yeah.
and you know, Sharon, even the young singers that I interview, as young as 9 years old, that are amazing. I ask them all the same question, like, "What do you think about oldies, Elvis, doo-wop?" And they say, "Jerry, without all that, we wouldn't be singing." So they know, they appreciate it, they love it, and that's what
Right.
began them. You know, so
Right. 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 I'd also like to say a very special thank you to Arlene Sullivan,
okay,
who is, in a way, the brand of the book. She's the one people know. I think Ray Smith and I have friends, but we don't have friends like Arlene Sullivan has. And we don't get mobbed, let me tell you, when we go to the local swimming pools. But Arlene has done a fantastic job, and she always shows the book with the stars. It's hysterical. You know, she's with this one and that one, and
amazing,
she carries on the tradition,
it's
the
amazing.
American bandstand tradition. So
Beautiful.
I'm grateful.
Thank you to her. So, what I
Yes.
would like to do before we close is I'd like to read a poem in my book. And there's a reason why I want to read this one. So, first of all, Sharon, I want to thank you for honoring me with this incredible interview. And I want to
Oh,
thank you
right.
for the book. And again, you've put smiles on so many people's faces with this book, including mine. Okay? And I want to thank you, of course, for, mentioning Elvis. I'm just saying, I had to say that again. But listen,
Okay.
I was smiling from ear to ear. And especially when I read something about someone I interviewed there, Bobby Rydell. I mean,
Right.
the smiles just are endless. And we all need to read this book, guys. I mean it. I'm saying that again. All right. But Sharon, what
Can
you
I show
did,
the book?
show the book. Come on, girl.
A little plug for Bandstand Diaries. And by the way, this is silly, but now I always wear pink when I go to speak, so I match the book. Okay. I have to get some turquoise clothes now.
Okay. So listen, everyone who knows me knows I usually have my silly T-shirts on. I have cartoons, T-shirts made, and pink and purple is my thing. All right, because there's pink and purple in my book. Those are my favorite colors. So I do the same thing, and I have turquoise with it mixed in. So I have all my silly, even like you'll see the logo, the little logo on here, and it has the cartoon of me, and I have that on a lot of T-shirts as well. So I agree with you. All right. So here we go. I'm going to read this poem. It's called Utilizing Gifts and Talents. And the reason why I think it's appropriate today especially is because what she's done, she's utilized her gifts and talents, right? I get too many, messages, people, that watch my shows and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, that singer was incredible. I wish I could sing, Jerry." Or "I can't do this," or "I can't do that." No, you can. You can do anything you put your mind to. Okay? Everyone is born with a specialty. Everyone is born with a talent. You just have to figure out what it is and then share it. So, guys, if you're, know your worth, okay? If you're doubting yourself, listen to every single word of this poem, okay? Utilizing gifts and talents. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. So don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened and then you can roar. Be happy who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Sharon Sultan-Cutler, will live forever, girlfriend, forever and a day. Go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. Make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And you were just saying about making people smile, see? So, and that's what you do, girl.
Thank you.
So, thank you again. Everybody, please, please share this video. Please, please check out her book. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. Okay, Bandstand Diaries. And producer, take us out.
Thanks, Jerry.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.